Alhamdulillah, sallallahu Bab Hadd al-Sariqa. Chapter on the Hadd or penalty for theft. ومن سرق ربع دينار من العين أو 3 دراهم من الورق أو ما يساوي أحدهما من سائر المال وأخرجه من الحرز قطعت يده اليمنى من مفصل الكف وحسمت، فإن عاد قطعت رجله اليسرى من مفصل الكعب وحسمت، فإن عاد حبس ولا يقطع غير يد ورجل. If one steals 1/4 of a dinar of gold, 3 dirhams of silver, or the equivalent of either one of them of any other property, taking it out of the hirz, customary place for safeguarding similar properties, his right hand will be amputated from the wrist and cauterized. If he does it again, his left foot will be cut from the ankle and cauterized. If he does it again, he should be imprisoned, but no more than 1 hand and 1 foot may be cut. That's what Imām Qudāmah said in al-Umdat. And that is basically the Hanbali madhab. I don't see anything here that is not the authorized view of the Hanbali madhab. This is the authorized view of the Hanbali madhab, all the statements here. So if one steals 1/4 of a dinar of gold or 3 dirhams of silver or the equivalent of either one of them of any other property, okay, and no one disagreed about this except the Hanafis, who said that the nisab or the threshold is what? 10 dirhams, not 3 dirhams. 10 dirhams is the threshold according to the Hanafis. But according to the majority, the nisab or the threshold for theft is 3 dirhams, or the equivalent of either one of them or any other property. So, quarter a dinar is equal to 3 dirhams, because what is 1 dinar? 12 dirhams. Quarter a dinar, 3 dirhams. So dinar is the gold currency. Dirham is the silver currency. Anything that is equal to 1/4 of the gold currency or 3 units of the silver currency will be the nisab or the threshold for amputation as a punishment for theft. It says here, taking it out of the hirz, customary place for safeguarding similar properties. So it seems here that he talked about the nisab, right? And then he talked about the hirz, which is the customary place for safeguarding similar properties. And these are 2 different conditions for amputation. Okay, and then I will mention the conditions as we go through the discussion, because there are 8 different conditions for amputation. Then the Sheikh says, وَأَخْرَجَهُ مِنَ الْحِرْز. Hirz is whatever suitable customarily to preserve this. So the hirz for the animals, livestock, stables. The hirz for jewelry, like a safe. The hirz for beans is a store that has a guard, basically. The hirz for the door is to be fixed to the wall. So if you remove the door, you removed it from the hirz. And so on. What's customarily indicates that you are protective of this property. قطعت يده اليمنى من مفصل الكف وحسمت. His right hand will be amputated from the wrist, because it's retraceable to the Prophet ﷺ, but you know, the strong proof on this is the Sahaba's sort of amal or action. It's here, from here, not from here. And if he goes back to stealing, then the left foot will be cut from here, not from here. But you will leave the bottom of it, where you'll leave the heel to walk on a heel. So
from where?
it will be cut like this, tangentially, obliquely. You will leave the heel for him to walk on a heel.
So how do you form the angle?
Yeah. Huh? Someone wants to start an agency and someone's wrong.
Which tool do they use?
But anyway, right hand will be amputated from the wrist and cauterized. They cauterized it by dipping it in boiling oil. You have better ways of cauterizing nowadays. For those who are interested in such ventures. فإن عاد قطعت رجله اليسرى من مفصل الكعب وحسمت فإن عاد حبس ولا يقطع غير يد ورجل. If he goes back, he'll be imprisoned because you do not want to make him lose two of either one, two legs or two hands. منفعة الجنس, it's called. The utility of hands or the utility of legs. You don't want him to lose all the utility. What if he came to you with his right hand already amputated for some other reason, not sariqa? He doesn't have a right hand. He just came to you, he doesn't have a right hand. What do? You don't cut the left hand, you cut the left foot. That's the next. Done with this, what do? That's it. You lock him up. So we mentioned two of the conditions for amputations. And I will tell you how they basically give a way out to everybody. So it says here لا تثبت السرقة إلا بشهادة عدلين أو اعتراف مرتين. Theft can only be established by the testimony of two trustworthy witnesses or an acknowledgement repeated twice. That's the other condition. Basically, admissible proofs. It has to meet the evidentiary standard or admissible proofs in court. Testimony of two, acknowledgement times two. If you admit to any problem, any crime, you need to admit once. If you admit to zina and the sariqa, 4 times for zina, 2 times for sariqa, because it's consequential. You know, like a hand will be amputated here. So you need to acknowledge, admit twice, confess twice. Now, having said that you need to confess twice, they say that it's a sunnah to suggest to the person to take it back. The Prophet ﷺ did this himself. A person who was going to be cut, the Prophet said to him, Ma ikhaluk or ma akhaluk, both are correct. Ma ikhaluka saraqt. He said to him, Bala. He said to him, Ma ikhaluka saraqt. He said to him, Bala. He said to him, Ma ikhaluka saraqt. He said to him, Bala, fa'amara bihi faqat. So I don't think that you stole anything. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, I don't think you stole. He said to him, no, I did. He said to him, I don't think you stole. So to suggest to him to retract it would be a sunnah. So here is, okay, admissible proofs is a third. Then ولا يقطع حتى يطالب المسروق منه بماله وإن وهبها للسارق أو باعه إياها قبل ذلك سقط القطع وإن كان بعده لم يسقط. The thief is not cut unless the one whose property was stolen demands his property. if the owner gives or sells it to the thief before going to the authorities, the cutting is canceled. If he or she does it after that, it is not. As we said, تعافوا الحدود فيما بينكم فما بلغني من حد فقد وجب. The Prophet ﷺ said, pardon each other concerning the hudud before you come to me. Pardon each other. Forgive. Forgo. Because whatever it is that will come to me, would be established in court, is binding. So before you come, drop, forgo, pardon. So demand. If someone steals from you, they will not be amputated until you demand. Then when you basically give it to them or sell it to them before the crime of theft is established in court, it will drop. Amputation will drop. After, no. Unlike what? Qazf, accusation of fornication. It is, we give priority precedence to the accused all the time until the end. Then, okay, so we're done with this one. وإن نقصت عن النصاب بعد الإخراج لم يسقط القطع وإن كان قبله لم يجب. If the value of the property falls below the nisab after it is taken out of the hirs, the cutting is not annulled. But if that depreciation happens before, then cutting is not obligatory. At the time it is coming out of the hirs, it has to meet the nisab or the threshold for cutting. You walk in and you want to steal a goat. You don't want the goat to make noise walking out. You slaughter the goat and then you take it out. The price of the slaughtered goat is 2 dirhams. The price of a live goat is 3 dirhams. Do we cut you? No. Because at the time you took the goat out of the hirs, when the goat was departing from the hirs, it was 2 dirhams, less than the nisab. That's what he says. You walk in and you find sort of a lot of good chocolate. So you indulge and you take the rest. The rest of the chocolate is for less than 3 dirhams. You ate a lot of chocolate. It would have been more than 3 dirhams had you taken it all out. But since you ate it, whatever it is that you're taking out now has to meet the nisab. If it doesn't, then, and keep in mind that the nisab is a little bit more than 1 gram of gold. What is 1 gram of gold nowadays?
About $7.
What's 1 gram of $70?
No, not 1 gram. I just bought 2 days.
Okay, whatever, I guess. $50, $70. It's not that neither. Okay. Then we said, the Sheikh then says, وإذا قطع فعليه رد المسروق إن كان باقيا أو فعليه رد المسروق إن كان باقيا أو قيمته إن كان تالفا. If he is cut, he must still return the stolen property if it exists. If it is lost or damaged, then he must return the value of it. In the authorized Hanbali madhab, twice the value of it. But the point that he's trying to make here is that al-qata' does not absolve you of ad-daman, liability, financial liability. So you will be cut and you will be financially liable. Now, so 4 different conditions. Are there other conditions? The thief has to be mukallaf. Okay? The money, the stolen property has to be mutaqawwam, has to be has to have a legitimate value. So if you steal a guitar, Hanbali-wise, talking Hanbali here, there is no punishment because that is not a valued property. If you steal a pig, if you steal wine, if you steal water, if you steal anything that doesn't have value, even water could have value, but it's a different discussion. If you steal a bottle that is made of silver that has wine, there's no punishment because it has wine. So because it is connected to something that has, so there's no punishment. So there are so many things that if you steal, if they even say, if you steal the chess set, no matter how expensive it is, because Hanbalis believe it's forbidden, so it's not money that is valued, therefore there is no punishment here. It's not like it's a good thing to steal. There is just no cutting, no amputation, because the money has to be valued, has to reach the nisab, and you have to be a mukallaf, and it has to be out of hirs, and we have to have two people witnessing, and there has to be demand. One big thing is intifa' al-shubha. Intifa' al-shubha, and we will end by this. Because I told you that with every had, they give people a way out. Do you know who is a sariq al-zarif? Sariq al-zarif is the witty thief. The witty thief will come and say, this thing is mine. And he doesn't have to prove it. He's off the hook. Or if he says, I was given permission to walk into this hirs, and he doesn't have to prove it. That is called the sariq al-zarif, the witty thief. Shafi'i rahimahullah called them sariq al-zarif. So in the Hanbali madhab, if you say, this is mine and I stole it, and certainly, you know, when we talk about having value, it should not be maghsoob. It should not be taken from you or taken from someone else or stolen from you or stolen from someone else and so on. But this particular point of a sariq al-zarif, or the witty thief, he will make a claim of two. This property is mine, and he will just have to make up any story, because he doesn't, at the end of the day, he will not have to prove it, but just the claim itself will cause enough ambiguity to avert the had. Now you say, this system is really bad. If you think that this is the end of the story, it's a bad system. But this is not the end of the story, because liability could still be established without meeting the evidentiary standard for the had. Ta'zir punishment could still be established without meeting the evidentiary standard for the had. The had is meant for deterrence. If you look at Saudi Arabia, how many hands get amputated every year? And I don't know if I mentioned this in the commentary or not. 2 to 4 hands are amputated every year. To cause this much deterrence and this much safety, and if depends on your moral philosophy. But if it is utilitarian, you are most certainly going to say it's worth it, using a utilitarian moral philosophy. So anyway, but well, like I said before, even if you are a virtue ethicist, this had is not meant to be applied by wicked, unfair societies. this had is meant to be applied only by virtuous, just and fair societies. I'll stop here. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. I'll take 3 minutes.